up? Hope you're good. Today I'm going to talk about some things that will make your life easier as a content creator or as a musician, or both. Both is good. So pretty much everything on the list is going to be stuff that you don't have to buy. It's just stuff you already own and just finding ways to use it better or take advantage of certain situations or ways of using something. I do have a couple that are going to be things to buy, but they're going to be pretty small and I'm going to get them out of the way right at the beginning. So first of all, we're going to talk about interaction with your computer, and this is for content creators and musicians alike. So if you're using a DAW, you need something to interact with your computer, and you need something that is going to do the job well. And for me, that would be this mouse right here, which is the MX Master 3S. It is not the newest MX Master that Logitech makes. I think they're on the 4S right now. But this is a great mouse, and I will tell you why. First of all, operation is quite quiet, so you can't really hear the clicks that much. It's not that important, but it's quality of life stuff. Second of all, we have a bunch of buttons on it that are nice. We have this button right here that you can program to do a bunch of different things. One on the bottom that lets you switch between computers, which is great because I have my laptop that I do music production stuff on, and my desktop, which I do some other stuff on, and sometimes I want to use this for just like, doing whatever around my computer instead of my gaming mouse, which I use just for gaming. It also has this scroll wheel, which is pretty magical because it has individual steps for scrolling normally, but you can also flick the scroll wheel and it will spin infinitely, as you can see. That's good for scrolling in your content libraries where you need to get all the way down to the bottom, or you just want to go through stuff quickly. It also has forward and back buttons on the side, which is great for both web browsing and doing stuff in your DAW, because especially in FL Studio, I don't know about others, but it uses the side buttons for a lot of different things. And then, maybe most importantly about a content creation mouse, it has the horizontal scrolling wheel, which is pretty sweet for both video editing and in your DAW. And then it also has gestures, which you can do by clicking this kind of hidden button underneath your thumb and then just using the mouse. And it is also really comfortable for long sessions of video editing or making music. Charges via USB-C, which is perfect because everything uses USB-C these days. The charge lasts absolutely forever. I think I've charged this mouse 3 times, or maybe 4 in the entire time that I've had it, which is over a year, maybe even 2 years. I will say, as an upgrade, I added the PTFE feet to it because the stock ones were not smooth enough. They were just plastic. These are quite a lot better, and the glide on the mouse pad is a lot smoother. This is kind of an expensive mouse to begin with, but you can frequently find it on sale or refurbished, which is how I would recommend getting it and how I got it myself. I think I got it for somewhere around $70 when it was the newest model, and you can probably find it for even cheaper now. Obviously, you don't have to get this exact mouse. You can get something else that has similar features, but I just like the way this one works, and the MX Master has a reputation and it upholds that. Logitech software, not great, but that is a fully separate subject. So interaction devices, very important for doing stuff on the computer, whether that's video editing, web browsing to do research, working around in your DAW, or whatever you're doing. Highly recommend MX Master 3S. I'm sure the 4S is also great. We're going to talk more about usability of your DAW in a second, but first, I want to show you the other thing that you should buy, and this one's much cheaper. This one's going to seem kind of silly, but for you Mac users, get yourself an iRig. These things are cool. You plug it into your headphone jack, so you have a tip ring sleeve, and the second ring is for the microphone input, and out of that you get headphone output and an instrument input here. These were originally meant for using with your phone, hence iRig, and it was just for plugging your guitar into GarageBand, or the company who made this, IK Multimedia's Amplitube app, which was a guitar amp app. But you can use it for other things too. I use it with Logic Pro, or FL Studio or whatever. And because I have a Mac, I don't need to use a stupid ASIO, and I also don't have to use some generic ASIO whatever. And that means that I can plug my guitar and headphones into the headphone jack, and I get 0 latency, and I can record guitar or even a mono synth. And I will say for synthesizers, it is a bit noisy because it is just a line input directly to where your headphone mic would normally be, but the convenience and size and no fuss totally makes up for it. It is so awesome for taking on the go, recording little ideas from like my mini log or from my guitar or bass, or even plugging a microphone into this. It is so awesome, and I highly recommend it. I actually used this for my first few January posts because it was so dang convenient. And these are not even really sold in the original version anymore. I'm pretty sure this is old and obsolete by now, but you can get the iReg 2, which has all of the same things, plus a gain knob and an output to go right back to your guitar amp for real guitar amp signal. And they're like 25 bucks used, which is kind of a no-brainer. It is the best small audio interface that you can get for a MacBook, and it's pretty sweet. Highly recommend it. Now this next one is a huge one, and I want to switch over so you can see my computer and my keyboard for this because it's very important. But learn gestures and hotkeys and modifiers as much as you can and drill them into your memory. I'm sure everybody who has ever done any work in computer software, whether it's programming or web development or whatever, has had Command or Control S drilled into their memory. Like, it is such a habit at this point. I will do it like every 3 seconds. So I am my own autosave feature. I was learning programming at a time where my software didn't have an autosave feature, and that meant if my work was not manually saved by hitting Control S on my computer, it was gone. If the program crashed, which it often did, and I hadn't saved it, I just lost minutes or hours of work, which was devastating. So I became my own autosave feature by hitting Command S or Control S just all the time. And that is one of many. So for example, in FL Studio, what I have learned is, the normal ones, Control S, Control A, C, V, X, Z, all of those that are pretty universal to whatever program you're operating in. However, there are some other ones that I use a lot, whether they are hotkeys or modifier keys. First one is Command, which is Control on PC, and that will let you select whichever thing you're clicking on, because as you know in FL Studio, when you click on something normally, just left click, it doesn't select it. But if you use Command, it will select it, and you can even use it to drag if you hit Command and drag with your mouse, which is great. Also important is if you are using the MX Master, like I am, if you hover over a pattern and you hit one of these 2 side buttons, you get this whole context menu right here, which is incredibly useful. I use it a lot for the make unique function, which you will know is incredibly useful if you use FL Studio. So the little 2 side buttons here are incredibly useful. Then back to trackpad, or if you're on mouse, same thing. If you hold Command and scroll, you will zoom horizontally, whereas if you hit Option and scroll, you will zoom vertically. Those are both incredibly helpful for getting around. And if you are using a mouse where you only have the one scroll wheel, you can scroll up and down with the scroll wheel. However, if you hit Shift, then you are scrolling horizontally. Very useful. And same applies for everything. For example, if I were to go to DaVinci Resolve, which don't ignore the media offline thing, it's because I don't have my drive plugged in. A very useful one is hitting Control B to slice something. That one I use all the time, and very similar modifiers like the Command Option, Control Shift, scrolling, all of that to zoom around and do all that stuff. Also very useful in DaVinci Resolve. Okay, and next, sticking with the computer theme, I want to talk about using apps that are already on your computer instead of getting new ones, which sometimes takes some digging around because there's stuff that's a little hidden. For me, I use the Voice Memos app a lot. I'm using it right now to record my voice, to do the voiceover, because the microphone and the camera is not any good. at least indoors. Outdoors, it's fine. Also, I'm using the Stickies app as opposed to the Notes app because it takes up a lot less space and it's a lot less distracting. So I can just write down what I want to talk about or something that I want to think about later, and it'll stay on my desktop. Other things, if you don't know about them, especially on Mac, is Spotlight Search. Hit Command Space, boom, you are searching your whole computer, which is awesome. And that can assist you with finding apps that you didn't know about. Other great ones are Activity Monitor for making sure that your CPU, RAM, and disk usage are under control, because programs like FL Studio, Logic Pro, Ableton, DaVinci Resolve, they hog resources. So making sure you know what is using what is really important. The Shortcuts app is also particularly useful if you like setting up systems for doing things. And of course, the legendary Audio MIDI setup, which is so slept on. This lets you create what's called an aggregate device, which is where, and this is really awesome, sorry for all you PC users because you don't have access to this, you can literally combine multiple audio sources and make them appear to your software as if they are one. So for example, I have one called iPad and iRig, which I used for January because it lets you capture external audio from your other Apple devices, in my case my iPad running a synthesizer. Via a USB-C cable, it transfers the audio to my Mac, and then with an aggregate device, I can combine that with my iRig, and that makes it so I can record audio from a synthesizer on my iPad alongside an external synthesizer plugged in through my iRig, or if I want, my audio interface, and it treats them as one device so that all the inputs show up together. And that is so important for so many things, for streaming, for collaborating, for recording from multiple sources at the same time. It is so awesome, and it is such a little known feature. And on PC, there are some comparable things. If you have PowerToys, you can use the search function. It is not quite as good, but it's still very good, especially because it has that quick Alt-space key command. And there's the voice recorder on Windows, which is just as good as the one on Mac. And of course, Task Manager, everybody knows about that. Same thing as Activity Monitor, pretty much. There's nothing quite like the Audio MIDI setup on Windows, and that's because Windows treats audio completely differently than Mac, which is really unfortunate. But I still implore you to delve into what tools are already on your computer, whether you're on Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever, because you might find something that's pretty cool and useful. Continuing on with computer stuff, I have 3 more quick things to talk about. Number 1, make your own presets for stuff, especially your mastering chain, or if you have a synthesizer that you use a lot for one specific purpose, make a whole channel rack of stuff that you almost always put on something. Usually using a certain synthesizer to make a pad for something. What you can do is you can make, at least in FL Studio and some other DAWs, put like an EQ and a reverb and a delay and a little saturation, or whatever your mixing chain is usually for a pad. And you can even set the plugins to 0 mix so that they're not even doing anything. Or if you have an EQ setting that you use all the time for pads, you can even set it to that. And then save the whole thing so that whenever you want to make a pad, instead of going in and being like, I want an EQ, I want a reverb, whatever, you can just load up the whole channel strip and it does all of it in an instant, so you're just immediately there. It's really good for mastering, especially in a pretty consistent genre, because in my case, I have a multiband compressor and then a leveling tool, something to EQ, a saturation plugin, and then my final mastering limiter, maximizer, whatever. And I almost always use that formula. So it kind of behooves me to just save that whole thing as a preset so that instead of, again, loading up every single thing from top to bottom, I can load everything at once, even if I want to change all of it. Sometimes, like I said, I even turn it off, but just having it there in the first place so that I can just turn it on instead of having to go through and manually put it in there just saves a lot of time. And the same thing applies for synthesizers. Make your own presets, or for VST effects. Same thing, make your own presets. With Valhalla Supermassive, I literally have a preset called It, and it is what I use every single time as a starter because it is a tried and true reverb sound. I can tweak it to my liking after I've loaded the preset because it's not always going to be the same. So yes, make your own presets, whether it's for channel rack or for VSTs or for hardware synths or whatever. Make a preset. It saves a lot of time. Next, please, please, please organize your files. It is so important to be able to just know where stuff is so you don't have to go digging for it. I have fallen victim to this so many times. I will be in a rush to get something and I can't find it and it's such a pain. So organizing my stuff, knowing where it is so that I'm not spending too much time digging through all of my files. It saves so much time and so much hassle. Last, for software, is making a rummage bin for all of your unused projects and sounds and whatever. This one I'm ripping from deadmau5. I did not make this idea, but it is a very good one. So if you start a project, and we've all been there, you have like an 8-bar loop that sounds good, don't know what to do with it. You just abandon it. Don't throw it away. Don't leave it to be discovered like 6 years later because it's just in with all your other projects. Put it in a special place on your computer that is basically like a rummage bin. So you can go through and if you're working on something else, you can be like, ooh, I remember I made this synth pad 3 years ago. This will fit perfectly in this project. So you can go through and pick stuff. It's almost like a loop library that you have already made for yourself by accident. And it's great for drums or synths or full ideas. Like I said, 8-bar or 16-bar loops that you've started and just haven't turned into something. And I'm stealing this one from Alex Ball, making your own samples. This falls into the rubbish bin territory where you have that little loop, and what you can do with it is you can render it out as a full thing and then use it like a DJ would, or an electronic artist like Justice or Daft Punk or whoever. And you can take that loop and then you can stretch it or smash it or take stuff out of it or whatever, and basically use your own unfinished projects how you would use somebody else's song as a sample. And it just takes so much less time than trying to find something because you already have it. It's very useful. Okay, next is something that I took from my writing teacher in high school, so we're digging way back for this one. If there is something that you are procrastinating on and you are just dreading doing it, the best way to actually get it done is to just start on it. And I mean that literally. Just start on it. Don't do anything else, just start it. So for example, if I am dreading editing a video because it's kind of tedious and the part I enjoy is recording the video in the first place, what I will do is I will take all the stuff off my cameras and I will start a Resolve project, and then I will throw all my media in the project and call it a day. That's it. Literally just throw all of the media in there. I don't do any editing whatsoever. I don't put anything together. I do nothing but name the project and put all the media in it. It's like writing your name and a title on a college essay and just stopping there. And it makes you feel like you've already started it, so it gets all of the initial hassle, that little bump, out of the way. And it seems more enticing for you to continue it because it's like, oh, well, it's already there waiting for me. I've already started it. It also makes your brain feel better because it makes you feel like you've accomplished something. It makes you feel like it's going to be easier once you go to continue doing it. It's just good for so many reasons. Another thing that I dread doing is setting up all my equipment to record a video. So that is exactly what I'll do. I will set up my camera or cameras. I will make sure everything is plugged in how it should be. Sometimes if I have a synth that needs to warm up, I'll even turn it on, and that's it. I'll just leave my camera set up and everything plugged in, and it's good. That is enough for my brain to want to start doing that thing later. Because at this point, I've already done the thing that I dreaded doing, which was setting up. So if you get over that initial hump, then your brain is just gonna want to do more. Or when you come back to it, your brain is going to be like, oh, well, we already got through the annoying part, so let's just do it now. And finally, this is one of the biggest ones, one of the biggest setbacks that I have when I record stuff, especially with this very camera that I'm using right now. Charge your devices after you finish the project, not before. So even if your camera's battery isn't dead, or your laptop isn't dead, or your phone isn't dead, you're gonna make another piece of content, whether that's music or a video or whatever, at some point, So instead of putting your stuff away when you're done, before you put it away, charge it. That way, when you come back and you want to make a video, it is already charged. So you don't have that moment where you open it up, turn it on, and your camera's dead. And this is better than charging it before because you don't waste all of the time before doing something. A lot of times when I go to charge my camera before making a video, I get distracted, I go do something else, I forget it's charging, whatever. So charging it after I make my last video, that means if I put it away, it's already charged. So when I take it out, it's already charged. And this will save you so much time and hassle and frustration when your stuff isn't charged. It is very much worth it. So please charge your stuff before you put it away, because in 3 days when you come back, it'll already be good to go. You can just set up and make stuff happen. Okay, this is obviously not everything ever that has made my life easier, but it is some of the things that I could think of immediately that have made it easier to make music or videos or whatever content. And once you start doing a lot of these things to make small changes to how you do stuff, suddenly when you have made a bunch of these little changes, everything will be easier by a lot, and it'll feel like such a breeze to just smash through stuff. Your motivation will come back, willingness to go through with stuff will come back, and it just makes making content a lot more enjoyable. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, hope this was helpful to you. I hope you stick around for some other stuff, and if you have any tips of your own, please leave them in the comments for other people to see. Thanks, see you in the next one, be well.